going on, Jerome's? So, in the wake of Christian Darrisaw's very unfortunate injury, the Minnesota Vikings, a week before the NFL trade deadline, made a great move picking up former Jaguars starting left tackle Cam Robinson. And the Jaguars and their former 2016 second-round pick out of Alabama, Roll Tide. It was clear that there was a little bit of bad blood there, even though he was a franchise player and cornerstone at left tackle for many of years. And Robinson, respect, in his first game against the Colts, played extremely well given the circumstances. And the former Jaguar returning to Duval, you knew that emotions are going to run high. She actually talked to me, man. And it certainly didn't. It certainly didn't disappoint. And Robinson, took the field against his former team, came out with a dub with his new team, and it's kind of an uneven performance, but just the eyeball test said that, okay, there were some pressures there, but overall, it was a bend but don't break performance, couple penalties. It wasn't the best, but it certainly was not the worst. And then NFL.com. So they talked about Robinson's performance and was basically painting it as terrible. This is what they wrote around the NFL. In first game versus Jaguars since trade, Vikings left tackle Cam Robinson allowed a career-high 11 quarterback pressures on 42 pass blocks, which seems high, right? So here's the thing with analytics. You have to take everything with a grain of salt because at the end of the day, a registered quarterback pressure is just how someone sees it. And eyeball tests, like we said with Robinson, Darnold was only sacked once late in the game on a spot where they couldn't take a sack by Travon Walker, except that was credited to Cam Akers, but really is more on Darnold, but side the point. So, yeah, there's some pressures, a couple penalties, but Robinson was good in the run game, just like the rest of the offensive line. They had a great day up front, but like 11 pressures on 42 dropbacks, that's more than 25%. Nah, didn't see it that way. Here's a write-up. Blah, 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 blah. Vikings made it way tougher than they needed to be. That should be the team motto. They should put that on the team crest. There were other setbacks, such as 2 costly Cam Robinson penalties, 1 a late hit versus his former team on one of Darnold's picks, and Darnold taking a bad sack late, which knocked them out of field goal range. So with Robinson, I didn't see 11 pressures, right? It just didn't feel like he was giving up a pressure on every fourth drop back. Didn't see that. But in terms of penalties, so he had the false start in the first quarter. I mean, it sucks, but I mean, it's not a high leverage spot. It's whatever. Necessary roughness on the interception return. Now, it wouldn't have negated the interception, but in terms of field position, certainly cost the Vikings, right? Also, illegal formation wiped out 3rd and 14 conversion from Darnold to Addison. So that one sucked. And it wasn't even that far back. Like, we talk about Jawan Taylor, who this rule is about. Nah. But also, like we said, take all analytics with a grain of salt. But if you look at PFF, 6 pressures on those 42 dropbacks, that makes a little bit more sense, right? And Josh Hines-Allen, respect, who only lines up on the right side of the defense, the left side of the offense. Like, he and 74 were going at it all day. Hines-Allen did get 6 pressures, but 0 goose egg, D'Angelo Russell sacks. And all 6 of his pressures were dinged as hurries. So not sacks, not quarterback hits, nothing like that. So, in the grand scheme of things, what was it, a perfect day? No. But 0 sacks allowed. Also, PFF sort of saw it the same way in terms of pass protection, where a 71.7 PFF pass blocking grade, which was 11th best among qualifying left tackles for Week 10, as well as a 71.5 PFF run blocking grade, which was 4th among left tackles. So overall, it wasn't a bad performance, right? I just think that the pressures have been blown out of proportion, and the offensive line as a whole actually played pretty damn good against the Jaguars. They were able to run the ball efficiently and effectively, as well as Darnold only got sacked once, and it was kind of his own doing, right? And could you say, sure, that the pressures kind of forced Darnold to launch it downfield? Not even particularly, because on all of his interceptions, too, like, he wasn't under immense duress. I mean, there's a little bit of pressure on every single dropback, sure, but like, it wasn't pressure that caused those interceptions. It was Darnold think long, think wrong, and that's really what it was, right? So I wouldn't sweat about Cam Robinson. I know that you're going to see analytics pieces and articles like, oh, Cam Robinson couldn't hold together against his former team. Blah, blah, blah. No, he was fine. Still has allowed 0 goose egg D'Angelo Russell sacks for the Vikings over 2 games, and I think he's fine. I mean, the former Jaguar is certainly fine. He's found himself a home here in the great state of Minnesota with the Vikings, and he's only going to get better and better and go from there. So I think that this is still a phenomenal trade that Kwesi pulled off for effectively very little, and Robinson's going to be fine. All right, so that's what really this is a macro lesson about analytics. So trust your eyes first, and then back up your biases with cherry picking analytics. That's the entire lesson. At least I'm transparent about it, man. But that's it. Cam Robinson was fine. That's it. You know what to do. Skull, production value.